Have you heard about Anchor? Well, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Not only is it 100% free, but it has a variety of creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or a computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast to other sites such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many others for you. And Anchor even allows you to make money from your podcast without a required minimum listenership. So whether you've been in the podcasting game for a long time or you're completely new to it, Anchor is so user-friendly that it's basically your one-stop shop for making a podcast. So what are you waiting for? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You're listening to First Paso. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first paso. Hello and welcome to First Paso, a show where we learn together how to take that first paso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olushala, and you guys, I have been going on such an intense journey the last few weeks. I have been reading a lot of books, watching a lot of sermons, videos for self-development, spiritual development, and I am rearranging life. It's really cool to be in a season like this. It seems as though every year for the last, 12 years, there comes a point in each year where I feel as though I'm leveling up. And usually that leveling up season is after a season where I feel like I'm being broken down and reconstructed. And I just went through a season that was pretty wild. And now it's like I'm experiencing a rebirth, like a firebird experience. And it's refreshing getting to this space. It is refreshing to recognize myself evolving. And that's what this whole show is about. Taking these first steps, these first pasos, and finding areas of our lives that need to be leveled up, that need to be pushed forward, that need to be re-strategized and reprocessed to press on and become a better version of who we already are. We're just unlocking areas of our lives that we didn't realize we needed access to. And when we discover those things and unlock them and polish them off and release them into the world for the world to benefit from our pouring out into them, it just becomes a cycle of people taking steps to do the same. So I'm literally living my best life now. I'm excited to unpack today's episode because this is a topic that has been foundational for me in my journey into and through freedom.
Hey, Candace here. You might not know this, but I'm not only the host of this show. I am actually also a life coach. Okay, you might be thinking, seriously, Candace, who isn't a life coach these days, charging an arm and a leg for their services? I totally get it. I was right there with you before I had my own coach and started coaching myself. It almost made me sick to want to even call myself a life coach to begin with, until I realized that my specific style of coaching was actually quite different from the rest. When coaching with me, you don't feel like you're getting something that is copy-paste. You don't feel like you're not having a real conversation with a real human being. Every session is customized and tailor-made to the person that I'm talking with. We laugh, we cry, and we journey together every step of the way. But the most unique thing that I bring to the table is that I invite God into this space. That's right. I do faith-based life coaching for anyone of any age, in any tax bracket, and at any step in their spiritual walk with God. And even if you don't know God, but are curious about Him and why He'd be a crucial aspect for your breakthrough, I can coach you too. So, if you feel trapped living an unfulfilled life and are ready to shift your perception to break free of your shackled mindset, if you feel that now is the time to finally live the life you have always dreamt of living and are ready to do whatever it takes to make that your reality, if you are excited about the idea of living life as your whole self, free to step boldly into anything you were created to be, and if you are ready to embark on the journey to self-acceptance, complete fulfillment, joy, fearlessness, confidence, true love, and so much more, then head to www.candaceolushala.com to fill out the application form today for the possibility of us working together to reach your breakthrough to live your most fulfilled life for the rest of your life.
I wanted to unpack today the concept of the power of the tongue. The tongue is such a small muscle in our body, and yet the power it has, not just in its actual physical strength, but what comes out of the mouth that the tongue is utilized for, it can destroy lives. When we were kids, I'm sure you heard the saying, or maybe you haven't, but a common saying said in elementary school is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. That is the biggest lie on earth. Okay, so words hurt. Words build and they also destroy. Words bless and they also curse. There is a level of edifying or destructive power that the tongue has. And when we don't realize this, we could be creating self fulfilled prophecies, or other people could be, in what they say, prophesying over us things that either press us forward for the betterment of who we are or hold us back for the detriment of who we should not be. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this from a personal perspective. Growing up, I have talked about this before a little bit, but I had this thought that I was unworthy and unloved. And I would wrestle with my own thoughts on that. I would even write poems about it. I would even sit by my window and sing songs like, "You cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still have boo-doo-doo-doo-doo all of me." Like, I mean, I was such just an emo child. It's just sad. If you know who sings that song, I'm proud of you. If you don't, you're probably really young, but that's okay. Find the lyrics and learn about them because they're awesome. Okay, so I mean, I would just weep and just I would listen to music that either sounded really sad, that touched the soul of my internal dialogue. And then other people outside of me, whether it was bullies or community members, that some of them said things over my life that were really intentional to hurt me using the power of their tongue, or they would unintentionally say things and yet it would still hurt. It would hurt horribly. So that way when I did hear someone say something positive over me, I couldn't believe it. In fact, Dr. Phil, y'all, if you know me really well, I love me some Dr. Phil. I don't care what anybody else says. I grew up on that man. Amazing. Brilliant mind. Okay. Dr. Phil, he always says that it takes 1,000 attaboys to undo one negative word over someone's life. 1,000, 1,000 positive words coming from the tongue, coming from the mouth before someone who has had one destructive word over their life spoken to them is eradicated from their mind. That is insane, but it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense how what we tell ourselves or what other people tell us or what the messaging in the world says about us and what they think we should be doing or how we should be, all those things. The negative pieces or the things that we look at and we're like, well, we're not that, or we don't do that. That shapes how we get up every day. That shapes how we step into the world. That shapes how we go back to sleep at night. It really does. It affects every aspect of our lives. And we are fools to believe that we are invincible unless we do what we need to do to counteract those things. So it took me, woo, y'all, it literally took me until I was in my early 20s before I even attempted to fight the negative dialogue in my mind and that I would just speak out. I would just say it out loud at some point. I would, in conversations, whether it came off sarcastic. For example, if someone said, Candace, you did such a great job, I would say, yeah, right. That was literally nothing. No, that was horrible, actually. Or I would say things like, I'm so fat compared to that girl. Or I would say things like, well, no one's going to want to be with me because I'm Black. I mean, I literally would say anything that would discredit who I am, but it would speak to how I began to see myself from a young age when I thought those things about myself inside. And eventually those things started to come out of my mouth. Other people would try to be like, no, Candace, that's not true. Or some people would agree. Some people would say those things before I said them, which didn't help. It created a vicious cycle. I know I'm not the only person who has dealt with this before. This is something that happens worldwide. This is not an isolated issue. We all deal with how the power of someone's tongue can break us down or build us up. So I had three tips on how to address the power of your tongue, someone else's tongue, the words around you, and what to do about it. So, tip number one, check your internal dialogue. What are you saying to yourself on the inside? What are you prophesying over your life? Prophecy or to prophesy is when you speak something that hasn't happened yet, but you're basically declaring that it's going to happen. So if your internal dialogue is that you are ugly, then you are going to project an ugly presentation of yourself by how you carry yourself, by how you start dressing, how you start speaking to people. You're going to emit the ugliness. If you say, no one's going to want to date me, you're going to again emit an energy from you that causes people to not necessarily consider dating you. Or if they look past that and say they're still awesome, you will push it away because you've been speaking this over your life. So check your internal dialogue. If it's an internal dialogue that is negative, you know it's negative, but you believe that it's true. What I need you to do with that internal dialogue is note the fact that you're believing these negative things to be true or not true. Now, I'm not saying that you're perfectly amazing inside and out. No one is. So let me be clear. If what you're saying is negative and you think it's true, I want you to take this opportunity to assess if anything could be over exaggerated, if it can be really something you just cannot see anything other than this. But note that anything that you see as negative in and of yourself could potentially change. You have the opportunity to adjust how you say those words. If it's negative, but you want it to change, then say words that prophesy the change. Don't just sit in the negativity. So let me give you an example. My internal dialogue could be, Candace, you are fat. And I can say it in a nasty way to myself, and I can absolutely believe it. And medically, it could be 100% true. Now, how I can change that negative internal dialogue is like this. Candace, you are not pleased at the weight you are. You are overweight. Medically, this is not healthy for you, and you want to do better. So, yes, we might be overweight today, but maybe we can start making those changes little by little over time to get to a space where your overall health is better. That's totally different. It's the same concept of Candace, you're fat, but I have not only acknowledged a better way of saying it, but then a solution that's positive to encourage me to move past that space. So there's definitely ways that you can take negative internal dialogue. Some of it is just literally being mean and it's not true. If you really think those mean things are true and they sound really, really mean, you might need to talk to somebody, pray it through, have a life coach, somebody to help you dissect which parts make sense and which parts don't. But if there's a negative internal dialogue that could change, doesn't have to be the same, let's rework that, okay? So there's that. Tip 2 is check your external dialogue. Who is saying what to you about you? Whether it's someone you actually know, whether it's society, what music are you listening to that's perpetuating the internal dialogue and the power of the tongue to prophesy that out into the world? What music is and news that you even listen to? What are the things in culture or people in your family or your friend groups, quote unquote friends? Because if your friends are being that mean, you should probably reassess. Your bosses, your instructors, your professors, whoever, doesn't even matter where it's coming from. What is the messaging there? And what are they speaking with the power of their tongues over you that it now becomes part of your negative internal dialogue? What is that? I want you to know that what goes into your ears and into your eyes can move up into your brain, seep down into your heart, and come out of your mouth. Let me say that again. What goes into your ears and into your eyes can travel up into your brain, seep down into your heart, and come out of your mouth. That is crucial to remember. Remind yourself of that because then when the external dialogue is happening, you get to filter what you want to keep and what you don't based on the internal dialogue that you have and who you actually want to be. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be depressed? Do you want to be sad? Do you want to be self loathing? Or do you want to love yourself? Do you want to feel empowered? Do you want to move in the earth free to be completely accepting of yourself? What do you want? You have way more power over this than you realize. So, two, check your external dialogue. And number three, which I technically touched on tip one, rewrite the script. Rewrite the script of your internal dialogue, rewrite the script of your external dialogue. Rewrite the script. Say something else. If someone speaks something disgusting over your life with the power of their tongue, speak something positive over your life with the power of your own. If you catch yourself speaking nasty over someone else's life, catch yourself, stop yourself, and apologize, say you're sorry, and then speak positivity over their life. This is so groundbreaking when it comes to taking steps forward and taking each paso in life, because the tongue can start you or it can stop you. Again, it can bless you, it can curse you, it can build you up, it can destroy you. It has so much influence over your life. And let me tell you a secret. The internal dialogue, when you have mastered the ability to keep your internal dialogue always moving in the direction of positivity and transformation for the purpose of elevation into a life of humility and freedom and wholeness and purpose and grace and mercy, you then get to better filter the external dialogue that you don't really have power over. In some regards, in some situations, yes, the external dialogue you do have power over, whether that be what you choose to listen to on the news, what you choose to listen to for music, what you choose to watch as far as movies, what you choose to follow on social media, who you choose to interact with, and the extent by which you interact with them. You have some control over the external dialogue. But when you have mastered the power of your internal dialogue and use the power of your tongue to reinforce the positive internal dialogue, you can have your external dialogue be trash and it won't break you because you've taken the time to rewrite that script, be solid in that script, and not let anything shake you. So when anything internal counteracts the positivity that you're trying to exude, you can quickly rewrite the script and be like, we don't accept that anymore. We don't do that anymore. We don't allow that anymore. This is a new space and we're reconstructing here for the purpose of having a positive outlook on my personal life and the lives of others. If you knew me as a kid, I pretended like my internal dialogue was great, and I would often use the power of my tongue to bless others, but curse myself. And if anyone cursed me or destroyed me with the power of their tongue, I would just adopt that and filter out the positivity. I don't want you to feel like you need to filter out the positivity. I want you to be able to see that you can accept the positivity. I want you to be able to see that you can receive and create the positivity, and you can move forward with the power of a positive tongue, not just for you, but for the world around you that needs to hear positivity. It can be challenging, and that's okay. It may take getting help, assistance to do this, and that's highly encouraged. But I want you to remind yourself of that phrase I said earlier. And you can even repeat it after me if you want, so you can remember it. What goes into your ears and into your eyes can travel up into your brain and seep down into your heart and come out of your mouth. Perfect. If you repeated that after me, use that as a means to remind yourself why you want to take charge of your own tongue and the power that it utilizes to either bless and build up or curse and destroy. That's it for today's episode. If you have any topics, suggestions, questions that you want posts on this show, go ahead to www.firstpaso.com to find out ways to submit those things. And go ahead and follow me on social media at Candace Olushla. Until next time, take care. God bless. Stay safe. The Rona is crazy and the monkeypox is following her. Just Y'all, please be careful. Please be careful. Oh, and one more thing before I go, I am starting a second podcast called hashtag Pizza's Not Working Podcast. Pizza's Not Working is an advocacy movement for the retail pharmacy chain to touch on topics regarding public health, healthcare, and why pharmacy is a crucial aspect of all of those things, especially since we have been in a public health crisis for well longer than the pandemic has been a thing. So, if you go to my social media, if you go on my LinkedIn, even, you will find ways to submit topics on the show, submit celebratory experiences in the pharmacy, people you want to highlight that you're thankful for in the retail pharmacy world. If you want to be a guest on the show to share your perspective on the crisis in pharmacy and how it's affecting public health, you can share those stories as well. And maybe just a personal story, whether you're a patient, a pharmacist, a technician, an intern. I want to make sure that you guys are involved in this podcast because it's really for the country. So everyone can be involved, not only in understanding what's going on, but how to also get involved so we can all help each other out and take back our healthcare. So again, go look at my socials, my website, LinkedIn, all these things to find out more information on that. Otherwise, again, take care, stay safe. God bless you. Love you guys, and we'll talk soon.